When did I start having a special feeling for that older, beautiful woman? It was during the time when I couldn't feel the sadness and loneliness of losing my beloved wife. One day, I randomly decided to use a service that sends someone to talk with you. The woman who appeared was undoubtedly the person I last saw at my wife's memorial service. My time, which had stopped, began moving again from that moment. My name is Adam Johnson, and I'm 38 years old. I work as a salesperson at a certain company. Due to my shy personality, I only interact with others the bare minimum. I attend social gatherings just to be polite and usually head home right after. My boss and colleagues have always told me that being serious is fine, but I'd never meet anyone if I stayed that way. As they said, I was still single without a girlfriend even in my 30s. I thought I'd remain single until I retired, and so did everyone else around me. However, this prediction was pleasantly wrong. I married a wonderful young woman everyone envied. That woman who became my wife was Emily. Emily was 23 when we met. While 23 is often seen as an age for having fun, Emily preferred a modest lifestyle. Growing up in a single-parent household, she was conscious of saving money since her young age. She started working right after graduating from high school. Emily was an office worker at the client company where I frequently visited for business. With her glowing skin and fit figure, she was breathtakingly beautiful. I secretly had feelings for Emily, but thought she was out of reach for an older, dull man like me. However, as we had casual conversations, the distance between our hearts shortened. Before I knew it, we were having dinner together after work. A year later, I proposed to Emily, as a long shot. She cried a big tear of joy on her fair cheeks and accepted my proposal. Emily secretly had a dream. She always said she wished she could have gone to college. I suggested she should take the SAT test and apply for college. But she chose to become a homemaker as she wanted to build a happy family first. I believe I will live happily together with her. We would grow old together, I would retire, and we'd live holding each other's wrinkled hands. I was more than 10 years older than Emily. Naturally, when my life was nearing its end, she would be there to see me off. Then I could cross the rainbow bridge with no regrets, feeling happy. A happy life. When spring finally arrived, my love blossomed. But the happiness I envisioned disappeared just before the season of blooming flowers. Emily passed away at 25. Her short life came to an end due to illness. She left me with happy memories and deep sadness. Since then, I've been going through emptiness, only to breathe every single day. My colleagues and local friends were deeply worried about my exhausted state and tried to set me up with somebody. However, I couldn't even imagine getting close to another woman because Emily was always in my heart. One day, my boss sent me on a business trip to Texas as he told me a trip could change your pace. The business trip was 3 days long. During the day, I sweated through visiting clients. During the night, I rested my body in the economy hotel without a homely atmosphere. Staring at the stark white ceiling, I got overwhelmed with an indescribable feeling of loneliness and anxiety. Suddenly, I'd come to the desire of feeling alive. I had plenty of work to do, but I might have suddenly found it unbearable to go through the days like a robot with no heart. Then I remembered the service called Chat Club that I had randomly found online before. It's the service for people who don't have anyone nearby to talk to. The staff can be a conversation partner for anything. That could be small talk, listening to complaints or asking for advice. Since Emily passed away, the only conversations I had were work-related or consultations. For me, Talking to someone from such a service seems easier than talking to someone close to me now. If I could have a conversation with someone like a normal human being, I might feel alive again, even though I felt like I was losing my heart. Thinking of that, I called the number listed on the website. Hello. This is my first time using the service, and I have no idea how it works. A middle-aged man answered the phone. He explained the service system to me in detail.
Don't worry about it. Just specify the location and our staff will come to you. Where are you located now?
I'm staying at the Economy Hotel near the bus stop. Can you send someone to the cafe next to here? The person on the phone started checking the staff schedule. He said quietly,
Oh,
and kept saying,
we have a female staff member in her 40s available at your requested time. Is that okay?
According to him, she was 45 years old. It means she was 7 years older than me. Yes, age doesn't matter. That's fine.
In that case, the staff will be there in 30 minutes. Thank you so much.
Feeling somewhat restless about my first time using such a service, I waited at the cafe for the woman who was 7 years older. Exactly 30 minutes later, a woman wearing a wide-brimmed hat approached me. Although she was said to be 45, she looked youthful enough to be in her 30s. A healthy beauty with an elegant aura. For a moment, I thought Emily had returned.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm Michelle from Chat Club.
She said as she slowly took off her large hat. Her long, shiny hair made my heart flutter a little. Nice to meet you. As I said that, I felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity with her. A voice I'd heard somewhere before. Hair I'd seen somewhere before. It didn't feel like meeting someone for the first time, but I didn't know anyone named Michelle. Being shy, I averted my gaze a bit out of embarrassment. However, I mustered the courage to look at her. As I thought, it was her. Jane. Standing before me was my late wife's mother, Jane. The name Michelle was a pseudonym, commonly used in this line of work to hide one's identity. My mother-in-law got pregnant at her young age and got together with a man who wasn't ready to be a father. Though she gave birth to Emily, her partner never cared for the family and left for another woman. As a single mother, she worked night shifts to raise Emily. One reason Emily took a job right after high school was to help her mother become independent and start her own business. Although it wasn't impossible for her to go to college with scholarships, the debt for her mother starting the business was over $100,000. As she was worried about this, Emily gave up her dream of going to college to support her mother. As for me, I grew up in a typical middle-class family. I had complex feelings about my mother-in-law working night shifts and couldn't build a relationship with her.
It's $50 for 60 minutes. Please let me know if you want to extend the time.
The woman who looked exactly like my in-law informed me of the fee in a businesslike tone. Feeling confused, I handed her a $50 bill. She took it silently, placed her flashy handbag and large hat on the table. Then she slowly sat down across from me. Facing me, her face looked weak. Her eyes were slightly moist, and large tears ran down her glowing cheeks. At that moment, the memory of that day flashed through my mind. The big tears Emily shed when she accepted my proposal. The pure tears that streamed down her pretty skin.
Aren't you Adam Johnson?
Yes.
What are you doing here?
What about you, Jane? I was at a loss for words, stammering in front of her. Before I knew it, I was also crying big tears. Almost 15 minutes had passed that way. Without exchanging a word between me and in-law, we kept shedding tears. While Emily was alive, I never had a good impression on my in-law. Her personality was the complete opposite of Emily's calm and modest atmosphere. Though she was beautiful like Emily, I found her eloquent and sociable nature hard to handle. Even when we met during the holidays, our relationship was the one ended with greetings. It was the same at Emily's funeral. I had an impression of her prioritizing nightlife and men over Emily. Because of that, I thought the tears she shed at the funeral were fake. We met twice after the funeral during memorial services. However, I continued to avoid interacting with her. She must have sensed my discomfort when I was around. Although she occasionally sent flowers, there were no calls or emails. Then, time just passed. Now, here I am, sitting across from her in the cafe. We were just crying. However, I felt like we were connecting for the first time. The service session was 60 minutes. I slowly began to open up to her about my current situation. The fact I was stuck in memories of Emily and couldn't move forward. My days since losing Emily felt like nothingness. The process I decided to use this service because I wanted to feel alive and have a chat. She listened quietly to my story.
Why are you doing this job, Jane? I heard the business was doing well.
When I asked, she looked sad and lowered her gaze.
I'm sorry if I asked something inappropriate.
No, it's fine. The business is doing well.
Then how come?
She began to explain how she got involved in the dispatch service.
Recently, I haven't been able to function well, either mentally or physically. I realized I couldn't continue like that, so I left everything to the manager and took a break. Texas is a place filled with memories of the trip I took with Emily right after she finished middle school. I thought I'd take it easy here.
But how come you're working during your vacation?
She looked a bit troubled. However, she sighed deeply and confessed.
Thinking about only Emily brings so many regrets. I have no luck with men. I only made her worry. As I dwelled on these thoughts, I found myself to feel nothing about everything. Suddenly, I just wanted to talk with someone about anything, but I couldn't show my weak side at work, so I found a temporary job post and signed up.
She checked the time on her watch. Then, she gave me a professional smile.
It's about time. I'm sorry I couldn't provide the service you paid for. If you want, you can extend the time.
What are you going to do now, Jane?
If you don't extend, I'll call the office to report the end of the session. Don't worry, your personal information will remain confidential.
She switched from a grieving mother to a professional service provider. Seeing her tears had left a painful ache in my heart. It's hard to explain exactly why I felt this way. What's clear is that there is something she and I have in our heart in common. The sense of loss from losing a loved one. Regret that I could have done more. Impatience of clinging to memories and not being able to move forward. In my exhausted mother-in-law, I saw my own reflection. That's why I felt like my heart was being torn out. Then, just before spring arrived, it was time for the first anniversary of Emily's passing. Despite our unexpected reunion, I had never seen my in-law since then, even though she lived nearby. Still, she was Emily's only mother. When I sent her an invitation for the first anniversary, she replied that she would definitely attend. On the day of the memorial service, my mother-in-law appeared at the venue, dressing in black mourning clothes. Even at the funeral, she had worn heavy makeup because of her typical look of a night woman. However, she barely wore makeup this day. Usually hidden by her flashy makeup, her facial features were very similar to Emily's. Although it was natural since she was Emily's biological mother, seeing that made my heart race, as if Emily were there. The memorial service concluded without incident, and the family meal began. If it were for someone who lived a long life, a first anniversary might be filled with fond memories and lively conversations. However, since Emily had died young, the atmosphere was somber. It was clear that my mother-in-law and I, unable to accept Emily's death, were creating a heavy mood. However, there was something different from the previous funeral. It might be inappropriate to say, however, I found myself unconsciously following my in-law with my eyes. Despite my previous discomfort with her, I couldn't help but be concerned about her.
Adam, thank you for everything you've done for Emily. I know I have no right to say this, but I'm sure she's happy too.
No, it's only natural to do all as her husband.
When I said that, my in-law slowly looked up at the ceiling and whispered softly,
But you need to walk your own path. I want you to be happy. I believe that's what Emily would want too.
I cannot think about it yet. Even though she's gone, she is still my wife.
My words startled her. She repeatedly apologized for her insensitive comment. It seemed her heart hadn't fully healed either. After about an hour at the family meal, she began to get ready for work. She probably couldn't stand the awkward time to spend with me. She was about to leave, smiling nicely to me and my parents. At that moment, a small child ran up to her. It was a little girl, just over a year old. She had just started to walk and was following my in-law wobbly. When she was about to fall, she crawled, then stood up again.
Mama.
Originally, Ma for that child referred to Emily. Yes, Emily left a single life behind in this world before she passed away. The girl's name was Lily. To Lily, my in-law is her grandmother.
Lily, what's wrong with you?
My in-law stopped in surprise at the sight of Lily desperately chasing after her. Then she quickly knelt on the floor and hugged Lily tightly.
Ma, no, no.
I was assured to hear this word. Lily saw Emily with her grandmother. More precisely, she sensed the same smell and atmosphere. Usually, I leave Lily with my parents while I work, avoiding relying on my in-law. I thought having contact with my in-law, who worked in nightlife, wasn't good for Lily's upbringing. So I intentionally kept them apart. But that was a big mistake. What Lily needed was a mother's warmth. If she couldn't have her mother, it would be good to have someone who reminded her of her mother. My in-law was one of the few people who could make it happen. Thus, I started asking her for help to take care of Lily. Starting with picking her up and dropping her off at daycare, looking after her on unexpected workdays, and preparing meals, the range of help gradually expanded. Though she was busy as the business owner, she had a flexible schedule. That was important as well. However, seeing Lily completely relaxed in her arms, I realized they shouldn't be separated.
Today, I don't need to work tonight, so I'll cook dinner. If you have any laundry, just put it all out.
Sorry for making you do all this despite your busy schedule.
It's fine. I feel much better if I have something to do. Taking care of Lily helps me make up for what I couldn't do for Emily.
I had thought that my in-law, having her own night business, had totally opposite lifestyle to domestic life. However, I was totally wrong. She worked in nightlife to raise Emily and lived on the edge. She appeared sociable and eloquent, however, she was shy, modest, and gentle, in fact. Sometimes, she had childlike purity, and there were moments when she looked like a younger sister to me despite her age. When we met, my in-law and I always talked about memories of Emily. Emily was responsible but sometimes showed her silly side. As a child, she hated bell peppers, but loved stuffed bell peppers with meat. We cried together, reminiscing about the day Emily gave birth to Lily with strong determination, despite her illness making her emotionally unstable right after we found out our pregnancy. As we shared these memories, my frozen heart warmed up, and the ice wall in myself between my mother-in-law and myself started to melt away. Emily, an unforgettable presence, and Lily, someone I wanted to protect at all costs. Our hearts, connected through Emily and Lily, and casual chats, became deeply bonded.
Having these little chats is nice. I wish we could continue such time like this.
I said without thinking. My in-law blushed deeply. I said something unnecessary. Realizing that was not appropriate, I quickly changed the subject. One day, while the three of us were out on a holiday, people mistook us for a married couple. On the way back,
Sorry about today. They called me I'm your wife. I tend to dress younger because of my job.
It's nothing worry about. They misunderstood because of my aged face. You always look so vibrant and youthful that people think I'm older.
But it makes me feel bad towards Emily.
even as I reassured her, I felt excited that I got mistaken for her husband. Then I realized. My feelings for her had grown beyond just as a mother-in-law. I had come to love her as a family, as a mother, and as a woman. However, I felt guilty about the idea of being with my late wife's mother. So I couldn't take a step forward. It was when Lily was around 5 years old. We were eating at a food court in a shopping mall. Lily had a kid's pasta. I had a curry with full of beef. And my mother-in-law had a poke bowl. Lily was trying hard to eat the pasta with her little hands. When I tried to help her, she resisted and wouldn't give me the fork. Then it slipped and fell on the ground. Lily looked up at my in-law and said,
Mommy.
At that moment, my heart raced wildly. As we spent together over the 5 years, I developed deep love for my in-law because of her affection for Lily and her devotion to care for me. She had become an irreplaceable presence, not just for me, but also for Lily as well. At that moment, I made up my mind. I decided to propose. I wanted 3 of us to walk the path ahead together and to create family memories. I wanted to go shopping together, to travel together, and to share our feelings in those moments. I wanted to grow old having simple conversations. On the way home, I shared my heartfelt feelings with Jane.
Jane, will you marry me?
She was surprised by the sudden proposal, of course. She couldn't process the situation and seemed flustered.
But you were Emily's.
While thinking about Emily, watching Lily grow, and sharing our thoughts along the way, there's no one else I can imagine growing old together with, except you. I'm serious.
Hearing my feelings, Jane blushed. Unless I was mistaken, she looked somewhat happy. However, she must have had her own conflicts.
Let me think about it.
After that, we continued to go out with Lily, but never talked about marriage. Her response came 6 months later. She shared her feeling with me with a shy blushed face.
Since we met at that cafe in Texas and talked about Emily, I haven't been able to forget you, but I felt guilty towards Emily and tried to suppress my feelings for you. As a single mother, I had lived by burying my feelings, but as we raised Lily together and had conversations, my heart warmed. I can't imagine life without you. That's my true feeling. But I wonder what Emily would think.
Emily respected you and wished for your happiness. Before she passed, she worried about Lily. So, I believe she would support us.
Making Lily happy is a must.
Thus, Jane became my wife from my mother-in-law. Lily, who fully believed Jane was her real mother. One day, we will need to tell her the truth. That Emily risked her life to bring her into this world. That Jane loved Emily and Lily with all her heart. That the special bond Jane and I share is beyond just a man and a woman. As I'm not very good with words, I have no confidence in explaining the history up to now, and I know it won't be an easy story for Lily to accept. That's why I've been writing everything down to share our feelings eventually with her.